Hello, Hearthbounders. My name is Levi Sharp. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the sound designer of this wonderful show. I'm sorry I haven't introduced myself like this sooner and given you more behind the scenes content, but, I've been busy making the damn thing. I'm also doing a big sound designer no-no and recording myself right now with my air conditioner on, but it is just way too damn hot for me to do this without air conditioner on. So please bear with some, annoying ambient sound in the background. But I'm very excited to show you a little bit of what I've been doing. I recently sound designed a scene that happens in a much later episode. And I think it just illustrates just how much goes into or can go into just, a minute and a half of sound design for a show like this. And so let's just dive right in. Right here, this is the little bit of the script that you'll be listening to in a bit. We have Odessa, main character, saying, "I'm pulling in," says a van drives onto the gravel, pulls into a stop. She says, "Do you smell that?" Cal, person riding with her, says, "Someone's grilling. Fuck, I'm hungry." Odessa, "Let's check it out." Cal, "Hell yeah." The van door opens. They hop out into the rain. Odessa says, "Stay here, boy," to Mac, the dog. Mac, the dog, whines. They then walk up to a lodge. And as they approach, they hear the piano. And this is through the door of the lodge. And they push the door open. And you hear the piano some more. There's some low chattering, an occasional laugh, fireplace, yada, yada, yada. So here's the Pro Tools session. But let me just show you what this entire episode looks like. So each one of these is a track. This episode is 18 minutes and 22 seconds. You can dig in here and see just how many little bits of sound go into each little moment. Let's take a listen to this script.
I'm pulling in. You smell that?
Someone's grilling. Fuck, I'm hungry.
Let's check it out.
Hell yeah.
Stay here, boy.
Let's start picking it apart. The main thing I need to think about when I'm starting to build a sonic environment is what are the wide-ranging sounds that are happening. Right here in the van, it's hearing the raindrops hitting the van. We all know that sound. It's, water hitting some hollow metal, being a little reverberant. The next thing is, of course, what are the sounds that are happening a little closer? All right, we're pulling up on some gravel. Here's a little piano on the radio that they're listening to. It's not going to sound like the piano is, live. It's going to sound a little kind of gritty. It's coming out of not so great speakers. It's a little bit crunchy. I have this piano getting a little louder as we're getting closer to the source of where this radio frequency is coming from, because in the audio, it's just going to come out more pronounced and clearer. Outside of this, we have some window wipers going on. And, this is an old car, or old van, rather. I chose something that had a little squeak to it. It's not a pristine car where these would be working incredibly well. Plus, I think it gives it a little character to have something that's a little squeaky. And then let's just hear the sounds of the car stopping. We have the bus turning off. You have the engine kind of like, the turn of the key, the windshield wipers turn off. But obviously, they're going to fall back into place before they completely just stop. The e-brake, love this sound. Yeah, such a good We have them walk and open the van, right? We heard that.
Let's check it out.
Hell yeah.
Odessa is, taking off a seatbelt here. Cal gets up first, starts going to the door. Odessa follows. You might hear little shuffle sounds. That whoosh. I have little cloth sounds for movement that I throw in to indicate different kinds of gestures. You would have already heard some while the car was being parked, because there's going to be some shuffling when you turn on the e-brake and things like that, of the arm moving. Definitely for things like walking. Anytime there's walking, you're going to hear shuffling of pants along with those footsteps. This is also, the characters don't sound like floating heads. There's a guitar here that Odessa is picking up on the way out. And you heard Mac, the dog, his little feetsies on the floor along with a jingle of his chain. Or jingle of the collar, not a chain. I want you to pay attention to what happens when this door opens, and how we're now shifting the scene from looking at them from inside the van to now them getting outside the van. So this is the real exciting stuff. So what's happening there is what happens when you get out of a van and it's raining. All right. You're first hearing the rain hitting the van, that water on reverberant metal. And then we open the door, and what will you hear when you open a van door? You're going to hear those raindrops hitting a bunch of other stuff, just the environment, external from the van. So not only are you hearing raindrops hitting the van, you're hearing raindrops outside of the van. Okay? All right. So how do we shift those sounds now? Because, of course, once you hop out of the van, you're not going to hear the raindrops hitting the van from inside anymore. You're also going to hear those raindrops hitting it from outside. So whereas before you were hearing those raindrops, internally from the van, now you're hearing them hitting the van externally, and you're hearing those raindrops hitting the environment of everything else, right? So now we have 3 raindrop sounds. All right. Okay. Let's break that down. So we already heard this interior rain sound a little bit. Right? It's a little dull and reverberant. It's not as sharp. When you get outside, that rain hitting the van is going to sound much sharper because you're not hearing it from inside the van, right? You're not going to hear that reverberance. You hear that? It's harder on that metal, or at least it sounds that way because you're on the outside. And then we have the rain hitting everything in the environment. Say leaves of trees and ground and stuff, right? Let's just hear those rain sounds together, those three. Now with everything going on. Okay, so they've hopped out of the van, right? And imagine here we have now the van on my left side. They've hopped out of it, boop, boop, and they're walking away towards the lodge, which is on the right. So as they're walking, that sound of the rain hitting the van is going to get quieter. It's also going to get, pulled away, not on the center where our characters are, because they're moving. Also, that interior sound of the rain hitting the van, that's going to go away as soon as you close the van door, right? What I had when they jumped out of the van before closing the door was when they jumped out, that water that you can, the rain that you hear interior to the van also moves to the left. So, we have the van opening, a bunch of stuff happening in the right of our ear a little bit, which is, hearing a little bit of the rain hitting the external of the van as well as the rain hitting the environment, everything else a little to the right center. And then we have the rain that we're listening to in the interior of the van moving a little to the left as they jump out of the van, because I want these objects to, sound like the place that they're in. Because obviously, if they jumped out of the van and we were still hearing that internal van rain sound center to our ears, it would sound as if the van also moved when they jumped out of it, which that doesn't make sense. So I have it sort of like, stay to the left of our ear, which I do by moving that sound more left to make them sound like they've jumped out of the van to the right. And then when the van door shuts, that internal rain sound of the van disappears. You only hear the rain hitting the van externally and the rain hitting everything around us. All right. Now let's listen to them slosh over to the lodge and see what's happening there. Play it as they shut the door. You're going to hear that internal van rain sound disappear. You can see it right here. I have a little fade out right there. And the other stuff is getting louder and more pronounced as they move out of the van. We're sloshing in the mud. Great sound. Let's just listen to these footsteps, like without the footsteps. When you get that plus footsteps, you'll notice that I have each character a little bit to the side of each other, one a little to the left, one a little to the right. I want you to be able to distinguish a little bit sonically where they are, where their positions are. They're not going to sound both in the center, because then that would sound like they're walking on top of each other. Here's both of them. What's coming up on the right now is the sound of a lively pub. This is a lodge with its door closed. So it's not going to sound, the sounds aren't going to sound so pronounced. They're going to sound a little muffled. So I have this pub in York, London, that is the sounds of our lodge patrons. Right? And we have our piano, also sounding muffled because you're hearing it behind a door. As they're getting closer, they're walking here. The lodge sounds, which the lodge I'm envisioning is sort of to the right. As they're getting closer, it's both getting louder and it's going from far right to closer to the center. Not only that, but when they open the door, and I'm going to fade up the sound of the York pub. Let's just hear those two together. Same with the piano. Our piano muffled, and then when the door opens, as they're walking in, that piano's going to get closer to the center as opposed to far in the right of the ear. Not only that, we have a few things that happen when you go into a lodge from outside. One, we have a fireplace. That's close to the piano. We also have the rain from outside becoming muffled. Also, as they move far away from the door, where you can really hear that muffled rain, as they're going more inside of the lodge, that rain sound is being pulled to our left ear. We're getting farther away from where it would sound more pronounced. How about we listen to it one more time, now that you have all that in your head?
I'm pulling in. You smell that?
Someone's grilling. Fuck, I'm hungry.
Let's check it out.
Hell yeah.
Stay here, boy.
There you have it. Minute and 18 seconds of a scene in a later episode of Hearthbound that I really loved designing. There was just so many elements in it, from the actions of the characters, moving around, opening doors, walking, stuff like that, to the external sounds of, the different kinds of rain that's hitting stuff. I'm sorry if, there are some spoilers in here, Obviously, you're going to get that with behind-the-scenes content, but I don't think it was that crazy of spoilers. So I hope that even if things were spoiled, you still got a lot of enjoyment out of, listening to how something like this gets made. Definitely ask me any questions if you have any. Write some comments. Email me. Whatever, and I'll try to create more behind the scenes stuff for you. All right, well, thanks so much for watching, listening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.
Set her back to walk the stone.